Libya has asked the International Criminal Court for a 3-week extension to a January the 10th deadline to provide information about Saif-al-Islam. The most prominent son of the country's late leader, Colonel Gaddafi, is being held in the western town of Zintan and is charged by The Hague with crimes against humanity. Well, to talk more about the future of both Saif-al-Islam and Libya, I'm now joined live by Sabah al-Mukhtar. He's the president of the Arab Lawyers Association, joining me in London. Why do you think the Libyan leaders have failed to meet the ICC's deadline?
I think in the first instance because actually the government does not have control over Saif-al-Gaddafi. He is in the hand of the Kataib in Zintan. Secondly, I think the Libyans are not really interested in handing him over to the International Court. And thirdly, I think because as far as they are concerned, they think that they can satisfy the requirement of their people to try him in Libya. One, on the basis that the people are getting their own rights from him rather than the foreigners. And secondly, the government would want to show its people that it's actually independent of the Western powers and countries that they have taken action against Libya.
Well, can I just ask you on that point, because you are a lawyer. Now, the ICC has said that they will accept the fact that the case could go ahead in Libya, but they are concerned that he won't face a fair trial. Now, as I say, you are a lawyer. Do you really believe that the judicial system in the country is ready for such a trial?
Quite frankly, I don't think so. On the other hand, I'm not so certain, actually, that the Western powers, or indeed even the ICC, is really all that interested in human rights issue. Don't forget, it's the Western powers that destroyed Libya. It's the Western powers and NATO that was actually hunting that man from the air. They were going to kill him. So suddenly they become all that concerned about his human rights. Is a little bit of tongue-in-cheek type talk. I don't think it is serious, but I don't think the courts in Libya will be able to deliver justice to him.
Nevertheless, I think... to interrupt, you say not concerned about his welfare and the human rights issue, but surely it wouldn't be a good reflection on the NTC if he is treated badly or indeed sentenced to death after a trial in Libya. I mean, surely the implications would be negative, wouldn't they?
Well, at the first instance, I don't think the NTC actually thinks that he is not going to get unfair trial. They think that they can deliver a fair trial. Secondly, I think death sentence is really what is expected by the Libyan people, and death sentence is part of the Libyan law. They think that the crimes that he has committed warrants such a sentence.
Would the ICC and the rest of the international community really want that to happen, though?
Well, I don't think they would want that to happen. They actually want him to be tried at the ICC because we want to redress some of the lack of credibility of the ICC under the current prosecutor. I think Mr. Ocampo has done the courts disservice. I think the incoming prosecutor would want to restore some of this credibility to the ICC. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think the Libyans are really interested in handing him over to the ICC.
Let's talk about what's happening in the country at the moment. Latest reports say that the US and a number of Western countries have released about $20 billion from Gaddafi's accounts and handed the money to the NTC. Is this an invitation to corruption, or do you think that money really will be well spent?
Well, in the first instance, you know, the idea that this is Gaddafi's money, I think it's a misnomer. This money is a Libyan money. It's the government of Libya's money. It's been, and there are many more amounts of money that are being held by other countries which are not being released. These are amounts of money that the people of Libya are entitled to. Whether we talk about it's going to be used or abused in Libya, I don't think it's really for the outside world to do so. At the present moment, we have all accepted that the regime in Libya, warts and all, with all its problems, is the government that is in Libya. And if they are going to abuse it, they will not be the first country to abuse the money. Gaddafi did before. There are many countries at the present moment, in many countries of the world, that they are abusing the funds. You have one example, for instance, Iraq is a country which is at the bottom of Transparency International because they were liberated by the Americans, and everybody is quiet about it. So why not the Libyans abuse their own money? It's their own money.
OK, so if money isn't going to sort out the problem, what about the potential democratic process which has been scheduled for the future? Not too sure when, really, but despite the attempts by Libya's new government to bring peace to the country, do you think that those promised elections in the future will bring stability and settle the disputes between the rebel groups that we're seeing conflicting against each other at the moment?
Unfortunately, I'm not all that optimistic about the situation, because what we have done is we have destroyed the state. The state was a bad state. It had a dictatorship in there. But at the end of the day, the interference of the outside world and the way we have done it, that is NATO and Europe and the USA, it's really building up to this situation. This country is going through a very difficult time at the present moment. It's not under occupation, but at the same time, it's been destroyed as a state. And we are asking the people now to reinvent the wheel again, while everybody is really pushing them into getting their interest, the oil companies and the rest of the European countries. The Western Europe is actually, each one of them is looking for their piece of cake, and everyone is using its own contacts in Libya. The Libyan people, there are many people in Libya who are either bought by the French or the British or the Italians or the Americans or whoever, and indeed Qatar is playing a role. This is in a situation where we have armed all the people, we've destroyed the infrastructure of the state, as bad as it was, and now we are expecting them to behave as if it's an organized state, as if it's a state which has control over its territory, while in fact the NTC still do not control many of the cities and many of the factions within Libya.
Sabah, al-Mukhtar, thanks for your time, thanks for your thoughts live there in London.